let's proceed with the rights of persons under custodial investigation. Well, in common parlance, we call this as the Miranda rights. But in the Philippine situation, calling it the Miranda rights is no longer for me um, a legally accurate term, because the Miranda rights is distinct now from the custodial rights of persons under investigation, because of changes in the principle, allowing it to evolve into a more expanded concept covering better rights for the person under custodial investigation. So this is now the term custodial investigation rights, or rights of persons under custodial investigation. In the Constitution, you find it in Section 12 of Article 3. The provision says that any person under investigation for the commission of an offense shall have the right to be informed of his right to remain silent and have competent and independent counsel, preferably of his own choice. If the person cannot afford the services of counsel, he must be provided with one. These rights cannot be waived except in writing and in the presence of counsel. It proceeds by saying that no torture, force, violence, threat, or intimidation, or any other means which vitiate the free will shall be used against him. Secret detention places, solitary incomunicado, and other similar forms of detention are prohibited. Well, actually, there is a specific law for this right now, though this is self-executing. You have the Anti-Torture Law and the Anti-Enforced Disappearances Act, which is discussed in a separate video. There is also the concept of the fruit of the poisonous tree in Section 12 of Article 3, and a promise of compensation for those who are victims of torture and similar practices, as well as for their families. Its origin is from the U.S. case of Miranda versus Arizona, where the accused here sexually assaulted um, two um, ano, ladies yata, of kidnapping and rape. Miranda was convicted by virtue of an extrajudicial admission. According to the Supreme Court in the case of Miranda versus Arizona, um, he should be, okay, a defendant must be warned prior to any questioning that he has the right to remain silent, that anything he says can and will be used against him in the court of law, that he has the right to counsel, and if he cannot afford one will be appointed for him by the state prior, and it is recited to him prior to the questioning. No, so this is what you often hear in U.S. Movies when they arrest a felon. No? In the Philippines, again, this has mutated into an expanded, more comprehensive right. Foremost, Miranda versus Arizona, which was a jurisprudence in the 60s, was not yet part of our Constitution under 1935. This only was adopted in the Philippine Constitution in 1973. What's the implication of that? The superiority of the constitutional provision over statute, of course, no? While jurisprudence may be overturned, a fundamental principle must remain regardless of precedents. No? So that is the first development there, that Miranda versus Arizona is jurisprudential, while in the Constitution, while in our custodial investigation rights, the right is constitutional. So if you look at the jurisprudence, no, the reciting of the Miranda Doctrine very carefully, it guarantees the basic rights, the right to remain silent, the right or the warning that anything that is said can be used against him, accused, the right to counsel before being questioned, and to have his counsel present when being questioned according to the case. And if he cannot afford one, the state will provide one for him. That's the counsel de officio. In the Philippines, it expanded aside from the fact that there is a warning of the use of evidence against the accused or the person in custody if he speaks up despite being narrated his right. He is narrated such a right to remain silent. Um, but the counsel now that is afforded to the accused is not just any counsel. It's said that he can have a right to counsel, preferably of his own choice. Okay? And the waiver of the right to counsel is provided with stricter requirements. It says that it may be waived only in writing and in the presence of such a counsel. The counsel here is not any ordinary counsel. The counsel is qualified in the Constitution as competent and independent, not just any counsel. So this is in the case of People versus Modelio. Um, well, citing earlier jurisprudence. So, um, so comparing the 73 Constitution, 87 Constitution, and the 35 Constitution, in the 35 Constitution, there is no such a guarantee. Under the 73 Constitution, it simply speaks back the Miranda rights per se. But in the 87 Constitution, there is the qualification of a competent and independent counsel, preferably of the accused's own choice. So, under Philippine standards, we have a more stringent set of parameters, no, or requirements than what the original source provides, no, because the accused is at a disadvantage because this is to accord even the lowliest and the most despicable criminal suspects a measure of dignity and respect. Um, in the Philippines, we have certain law, the Public Act 7438, which defines further certain rights of persons arrested, detained, or under custodial investigation, and also provides a checklist of the duties of arresting officers and detaining officers, as well as detaining officers. So we highlight that at all times, the accused must be assisted by counsel during custodial investigation, no? And that when the person is arrested and he is taken into custody, the narration is not just an empty narration, because it should be in a language that shall be known to and understood by the accused. No? So his right to remain silent and the right to competent counsel is narrated to him on his own dialect of his own language. Okay. Furthermore, it emphasizes that it says that any extrajudicial confession made by the accused or the person in custody of the law by a person arrested or detained or under investigation shall be in writing and signed by such a person in the presence of counsel. So not just any admission, not even verbal admission. The requirement is a written admission signed by the person in the presence of counsel. Or upon the latter's absence, counsel's absence, upon a valid waiver, and in the presence of any of the parents, elder brother, sister, spouse, municipal mayor, or municipal judge, district or court supervisor, a school supervisor, or priest or minister of the gospel chosen by him. Otherwise, such extrajudicial confession shall be inadmissible as evidence in any proceeding. So yes, you can admit it in the absence of a counsel, but other persons should be present during the extrajudicial confession. Any waiver of a person arrested or detained um, shall be in writing and signed by such a person in the presence of his counsel. If the okay. Any person arrested or detained shall be allowed visits or conference with any member of the family or his immediate family or any medical doctor or priest or religious minister. Um, the custodial visits also would allow as members of the family yung fiancé, no? Um, spouse, fiance, or parent, child, brother, sister, grandparent, grandchild, nephew, niece, guardian, or ward. So it's not just, it also guarantees access of the members of the family. Now, there are instances that the accused may be simply invited. Iniimbitahan ka namin sa presinto. Inviting persons who already is tantamount to invitations. Okay. If the invitation is for in the connection of an offense where he is suspected to have committed. Okay. So this rights to extrajudicial confession shall be in writing. It should be expressed voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently, and in the presence of counsel. So this refers to the confession per se, no, which must be voluntary. Okay. In the case of People versus Reyes, so it covers the protection covers from the period the person is taken into custody, or from the time he is singled out as a suspect. In the case of People versus Domingo Reyes, an independent counsel is what the Constitution requires. In the case of Domingo versus Reyes, so he cannot just be given a special counsel or public prosecutor or counsel of the police, or those who are beholden to the beholden to the interrogating persons, no. But the choice of counsel is not absolute. It should involve the possibility of getting counsels who are not or are other than those preferred by the accused. So preferably lang, hindi naman necessarily or absolutely of his own choice, because he might choose a counsel that is impossible to obtain, making the flow and the tempo of the investigation dependent on the presence of his imaginary counsel, no? Or his ideal counsel. Res gestae has already been changed by the rules of court, but this is simply the admissibility of evidence or statements made by the person while a starting occurrence is taking place or immediately prior to or subsequent thereof. When he is under stress of excitement caused by the occurrence with respect to the circumstances first circumstances thereof, may be given in evidence as part of res gestae. So also statements accompanying an equivocal act material to the issue and giving it a legal significance, also part of res gestae. We include this because res gestae sometimes they fall on the moment of custodial investigation. So what are the elements for res gestae? This is actually taken in evidence, no, in the subject evidence, but the case of Romeo Cunanan, no, People versus Cunanan, the principal act, the res gestae, is a startling occurrence. Something startling has just happened. Statement was made before the declarant had time to contrive of the desire, or this device as a story. No? The statement concerns the occurrence of in question and is immediately attending circumstances. So, para bang may ginawa kang crime. Kapag gawa mo ng crime, you suddenly immediately after the commission of the crime may have said something about it. Parang, naloko na, pinatay ko si ganyan. It's unscripted, it's raw, it's thought of. Then that's evidence that is res gestae, no? This case of Sanchez says that the reason for the rule is human experience. It has been shown that under certain external circumstances of the physical or mental shock, the state of nervous excitement which occurs in a spectator may produce a spontaneous and sincere response to the actual sensation and perception produced by external shock. So this line is very important. The spontaneity of the declaration is such that the declaration itself may be regarded as the event speaking through the declarant rather than the declarant speaking to himself. People versus Sanchez. Several cases on this gives you examples. People versus Dano, um, people versus Baloloy. You know? In these cases, a crime is committed. One such crime is strangling or killing the victim. Then out of the commotion, he suddenly blurts out, it's the evidence of the crime is mine. I killed her, and so on. So the admission done without even being questioned in front of a person while he is not yet arrested, not arrested, not taken into custody. Spoken in front of a, for example, of a barangay chairman, a barangay kagawad. That's just stay. But this is an example where the principle does not apply. People versus Arondain. What happened in this case was a taxi cab was held up by two or more persons, brought to a dark place, and when they were trying to do their deed, a nearby establishment flashed its lights to the spot, and the felons ran off, hiding behind the bushes. And the security guard called policemen who responded thereto, and then they searched the premises. And then saw one of them in the bushes and asked them, bakit mo ginawa ito? The thing is, he asked a question, bakit mo ginawa ito? Parang ganyan, ano? So the felon admitted, no? So the confession made by the accused admitting the crime of frustrated robbery cannot be admitted as part of restless stay. Said confession was given after he was arrested and without the assistance of counsel. So he suddenly blurted out his crime, no? When he was already taken into custody or brought to questioning. So the active questioning, no? The active questioning. In this case of Heselva versus People, this is interesting because it speaks of a spontaneous expression, which was even made more convincing because at the time he's made it, he was even accompanied by his by the felon's cousin who is a lawyer also. Media interviews, does the right against does the custodial investigation rights need to be recited for media interviews? No, because media men are not law enforcers. So interviews recorded on video, where the accused may unburden himself his guilt, no, willingly, openly, and publicly made in the presence of newsmen is admissible siya. Such confession does not form part of custodial investigation. It did not even be rest just stay, because na-detain na nga siya, matagal na nangyari. So ito yung ginagawa ng mga pulis kapag hindi nila makuha ang confession sa magnanakaw o sa killer. They allow media to interview him and suddenly they make use of the media interview as a part of their evidence. In administrative investigations is the right of persons in custodial investigation applicable. Under existing laws, a party in an admin inquiry may or may not be assisted by counsel, irrespective of the nature of the charges and of the respondent's capacity to represent himself. And no duty rests on such a body to furnish a person being investigated with counsel. So the CIR does not apply to administrative investigation. Police lineups. Police lineups, when you are asked to line up to be identified, you are not yet in custodial investigation, but because that is a stage in the general inquiry, which the accused may be invited together with others for invitation, para they could be identified. It is not yet part of custodial investigation kasi wala pa namang singling out. It's different if in a police lineup, person is singled out, and if he's singled out, like he's identified by the witness from a lineup, kung sino sa kanila ang nakita mo, and then he points it out, or the witness points him out, and then you, please move forward. What is your name? He's already singled out, no? At that point, when he is singled out, he should already be read his Miranda rights, as you call it, no? The CIR, especially if questioning already begins, no? So how do you know that Miranda rights is valid? What are the tests? You remember that the right requires transmission of meaningful information rather than just a ceremonial and perfunctory recitation of abstract principles. Um, you must uh, inquire, meaning, and you must inform the person meaningfully of his rights. If you just blurt the rights out in a verbatim fashion, with such indifference and speed, and the accused has no opportunity to understand it, then that may be a violation. No? In fact, it should allow the suspect to consider the effect and the consequences of any waiver he might make of these rights. So effective communication is required. Um, well, it could be possible that bagalan ang pagsalita or tanungin mo kung ano ba yung iyong naintindihan mo ba, no? It should not be just a perfunctory or routinary recitation of rights. It should be assured that the person understood what was recited to him, no, in the language known to him. No? There is nothing in the Constitution that mandates the counsel to be informed of mandates the counsel to inform the accused of the possible penalty. So the penalty need not even be recited. No, you're just been arrested. Why would you be oriented with your penalty? No? Hindi kasama sa Miranda rights yun. Okay. Even the educational attainment. But for me, the educational attainment, when you are taken into custody, is necessary so that the investigators would know if their recitation is meaningful enough. So for me, while there's this case of People versus Toniaco, this could be challenged. So who has the burden of proving the voluntariness of waivers, no, of the right to remain silent? It's the prosecution in the 80s, no? But subsequently, later jurisprudence says that because of the presumption of the regularity of duty, it is the party questioning the voluntariness that has to prove because of that presumption of regularity. It is the confessant who now bears the burden of proof that his confession is tainted with duress, compulsion, or coercion. So what may be waived? You may waive your right to remain silent. You may waive your right to counsel, but you cannot waive to be given your Miranda rights, your CIR. You might even say, I'm a law student, I know this. Don't tell me what to do, because that is a right that you cannot waive. So again, exclusionary rule, if any evidence or admission is fished out in violation of this custodial investigation rights, they are inadmissible in any proceedings. Well, they could be admissible against the law enforcers who violated the CIR. On to the next video.